We're here with Coach Fred Hoiberg for today's press conference. I'll start questions. I'll start with Sam McEwen today. If you have questions, put them in the chat, please.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm all right. Hey, so you guys announced a couple of signees yesterday. One of them was a freshman, Oleg, and then CJ, obviously, the transfer. I'm curious what you think both those guys bring to the table, and how quickly you think both of them can make an impact.
Yeah, I'm really excited about both players that we signed yesterday. I'll start with CJ, a guy that had really good quality minutes when he got the opportunity at Xavier this last season. The thing that stands out about CJ is perimeter shooting. And, that's certainly an area where we need to improve, we need to get better, and he'll immediately help us in that area, as well as the other guys that we signed in the fall. So I'm excited about that aspect of our team, hopefully being a more consistent three-point shooting group, and obviously from the free throw line where we need to improve in a big way. But he's not just a shooter. He's got a good, strong body, should have versatility on the defensive end, a guy that can put the ball on the floor, and as I said, a good, strong body to finish in the paint. So I think we're getting a very complete player in C.J. Wilcher. As far as Oleg, the addition of getting size, 7-footer that's got very good skill. What we do and the way I've always approached it is the guys will come in and compete and go out there and show me in practice who deserves to be on the floor and who deserves minutes. And, I anticipate Oleg coming in and competing for that spot. Strength is always a big thing for all freshmen that they have to improve on. And, when he gets here in the summer, we'll have an opportunity to start working on his body right away. But, to add a 7-footer that's got a good skill set, it should be a good long-term addition for our program.
Chris Bassett.
Hey, Fred, I wanted to ask you about the one-time transfer rule. It looks like it's going to become official today. I guess just your thoughts on that. How does that change the way you go about recruiting, or does it change the way you go about recruiting? And what do you think of that kind of becoming official now?
Yeah, it won't change our approach as far as how we recruit. Obviously you've seen in the couple of years that we've been here that we've taken players from all different areas as far as freshmen, junior college players, international players, and transfers. So, you just, I think there's 1,400 in the portal right now, 1,300 or 1,400 of them. And, obviously a lot of them have very talented, unique skill sets and very good players. So, we're evaluating that constantly, as all coaches and all programs do, on how you can add talent, how you can get your team better. And, as far as the rule change, I think it's good. I think it'll give some consistency now for the transfers that are moving on, that you have the ability to play right away on the one-time transfer exception. The legislation's been on the table the last couple of years, and I think now it will add some consistency to the transfers that are leaving their program. So I think it's a good change.
How is maybe, recruiting transfers different than than it was maybe when you started at Iowa State? Obviously the numbers of guys out there are different, but has it become more difficult? Is it easier? Or I guess how has it changed in your eyes?
I think the biggest thing, Chris, you're competing against so many more schools than maybe we were our first go-around at Iowa State, where we really built our team that first year with transfers. We got 4 high-level kids in that sat out that first year, and Royce White, Chris Babb, Chris Allen, Anthony Booker. And they really helped jumpstart our program, and I think really attracted 4-year players that came in and were huge parts of our program. We still recruited transfers, but getting on the map and showing success and an exciting style of play, got us the opportunity to recruit better players than we would have been able to early in the process. But now you look at transfers being such a huge part of recruiting for all schools. We weren't recruiting against a lot of the teams that are getting transfers now, and that's just the landscape of where things are in college basketball right now, really college sports, with so many transfers leaving looking for better opportunities. And, but it has changed. There's no doubt about that. When we started at Iowa State, there weren't a lot of schools that took transfers, or at least built through the transfer market. We did that, but again, what that did for us is it attracted a lot of really high-quality 4-year players. A lot of those guys are playing in the NBA right now.
Thank you.
Andrew Ward.
Hey Fred, I'm curious, what was it like playing the dad role yesterday, and what are the emotions having Sam come on the team next year?
Yeah, Andrew, it was really cool to be there, be a part of that, sitting there on signing day in his high school. Having the opportunity to have Sam part of our program, I think he'll be a great asset to us. He's going to be a walk-on for us. I know he's going to bring everything that you need to in that role on a daily basis. He's going to be a great teammate. He's an awesome kid. He's going to come in and work extremely hard. He's going to push the guys that are going to be out there on the floor. Whatever role is asked of him, I know he'll go out and do to the best of his ability. So it's exciting, as parents, especially for Mom. I think it'll help ease the empty nest that we would have had Sam gone away to college, which he had some pretty intriguing opportunities. But at the end of the day, he wanted to stay home and he wanted to play here. He's really, fell in love with this community, as our entire family has. And, we love it here. And, Sam's excited to be part of our program, and we're certainly excited to have him.
Michael Bruns.
Hey, Fred, with the eligibility and everything from last year kind of being different, and I guess how do you kind of move forward with the remaining empty or remaining scholarships, I guess, that you have? And also, do you have an update on kind of where he's at in the process with everything?
Yeah, I'll start with Thor. We've been in constant communication. He is back home right now, and he's just weighing all the different options that he's going to have moving forward. And we've had a lot of talks, and he's going to take his time with the process, which he certainly can and should do. And he's obviously a guy that has had two good years for us. 2 years ago, shot the ball at a very high clip. He ended the year this last season. I think he led us in assists the last 6 or 7 games. A guy that will have options, and we'll be there every step along the way to help him in any way we can, to make the best choice for him in his career. So as far as the remaining spots that we have on a roster, as all programs do, the job of the staff and the coach is to do everything you can to improve your roster. And we're looking at a lot of different things right now, and we'll see how it plays out and how things develop. But as we all do, we're just trying to do everything we can to put the most competitive team out there on the floor.
Robin Washut.
Hey, I know you still have, a couple spots to use in a variety of ways, but I know when this recruiting cycle started, one of the things that jumped out to a lot of people as an area of need was a primary point guard, facilitator, like a true point. Obviously, I don't know if that's necessarily been addressed yet. How do you feel about that position? And is that still an area of emphasis going forward, or do you like what you have on the roster to kind of handle that role?
Well, we do need to improve in decision making across the board, and in order for us to win games, we have to take care of the ball much better than we did a year ago. Our assist numbers went up dramatically towards the end of the year. I think the last 7 games went from about 14.5 all the way up to 17.5, but we still turn the ball over way too much. We're doing a lot of drills right now to hopefully get better with decision making. And, Delano at times showed very good decision making. Assist to turnover ratio was actually very good a year ago for Delano. The shutdown hurt him. There's no doubt about that. Being shut down for almost a month and then to have to come back. Trey, I thought, had made great strides going into the shutdown and then struggled when we came out as well. And we did as a team. We just, we played hard, we were competitive, but we turned the ball over way too many times to win games. So, we're going to continue to stress. We're watching a lot of film with our guys that we need to improve on. And, obviously the proof will be how things play out once we get on the floor and competing again. So, the thing I'm excited about, Robin, we had 46 less practices last year than we did the year before. We're going to have a lot more time to work on those fundamental things where we have to improve, and hopefully that'll pay off. Kobe is a guy that can facilitate. Wilhelm Breidenbach is a guy that, watching his games to this point in his season, has brought the ball up the floor. And that's a very valuable thing to have when you have a front court player that can facilitate and initiate offense like he can. But yeah, absolutely. That's a huge area of improvement going into next season that we have to have if we're going to find a way to win games. Where's your Giants hat, by the way, today?
Robin, you're muted.
You're on mute, Robin. We're all a little rusty, Robin.
Yeah, I said a couple weeks on draft day, I'll be wearing it with my shirt, all that.
Nice.
Connor Happer?
Yeah, this kind of piggybacks a little bit off the last one, but just, I mean, how do you feel about your roster just with the guys that you brought in, just the roster in totality and how it fits to what you guys want to do, and are you kind of on track with what the roster your image of what the roster should look like by this point?
Yeah, I think we've made a lot of improvements to our roster with the recruiting class that we are bringing in to this point with the additions that we've made to our roster. We need to shoot the ball better, and I think we have addressed a lot of that with the players that we have coming in. You see what Keisha is doing right now with what he has done to help Ranger get into the national tournament in Hutch down in Kansas, which starts next week. You look at, obviously, Bryce McGowan's a guy that can score it from all over the floor. In Wilhelm, a guy that can stretch it and shoot it from a frontline position. Again, those guys are so important to have on your team to be able to shoot and get bigs away from the basket to open up driving lanes. So, I think through that, and then again with CJ and with Oleg, guys that can come in and knock down shots as well. So, I think we've made huge strides in that area. The other thing I'm excited about is we're going to have continuity with our roster for the first time since we've been here. The first year we had under 2 points coming back from the previous year. Last year I think we had 15. This year almost 70% of our production will be back and have been through the system, when I think we saw dramatic improvement over the course of the season, especially after the shutdown, and we got back playing and got into a rhythm. So, I'm excited about that. And then the additions that we've made, and, huge thing that we have to do as well, we were close on a lot of occasions. We didn't close out games. We have to be better down the stretch. We've got to find a way to get a group out there that's going to play with the confidence to win those close games, which we did not do a good job of last year. But yeah, I'm excited about the additions. I think the 14th ranked recruiting class in the country. So, I think we have addressed a lot of needs with the class coming in.
Sam McEwen?
I want to go back to the transfer question for a minute. College football coaches they just have trepidation about this. You can kind of tell. Some of it's based on scholarship numbers and other things. It feels like in basketball, for reasons that maybe you can help unpack, it just doesn't seem like it's quite a big of a deal. Like maybe because of collegiality, you guys have started to work on this process maybe a few years ahead of football. Why does it feel like in college basketball there's just a little bit more normalization of this, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be as huge of an adjustment?
It's a good question, Sam. I can only comment on what we deal with our sport. Again, it's something where you've seen numbers steadily climb as far as players going into the transfer portal. And, with all the turnover you have on your roster, to try to bring somebody in to fill a need or, be a player that can get you over the hump, be a guy that can come in and, be a guy you can build a program around. There's just so many of them. And the fact that the numbers have gone up, and you see pretty much every school across the country now that are adding transfers to their rosters, it's just, again, you're probably right. The fact that it's been happening now for the past several years, I don't think it's going to be that big of an adjustment for our sport.
Did Baylor winning the national championship and doing that with transfers and people talking about it make it maybe a little bit more, a little bit more palatable? And does that and in watching Baylor during the tournament, did you be like, this is why we do what we do? This is why we recruit the way we recruit?
Yeah, it wasn't just Baylor. You look at a lot of teams that were in there in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and even in the Final Four, not just Baylor that had transfers that played key roles on their teams. A lot of the teams that had success that were in there at the end, had transfers that played big parts in their, that had to do with their success.
Thank you.
Michael Bruns?
Fred, where can Nate Lenzer kind of put his fingerprints on your program quickly here in the off season? And I guess why did you want to bring him aboard?
Yeah, Nate and I go back a long way, back to our time at Iowa State, and it's where I saw how good he was all across the board. I know I've talked a lot about his development on the floor with skill work, but if you see him in a scouting report in a film room commanding the room, he's got such a great presence to him. The fact that he was a head coach in the G League in the inaugural season of the Windy City Bulls, and as the head coach at that level, you do everything. And you're a huge part of the development. Obviously putting the game plans in the scouting reports together, even doing film stuff. So Nate's done everything, and he started at the bottom, and just he's as good as I've been around in all different areas. And if you see the connection already that he's made, we're doing just a lot of individual skill work with our players right now. You can see the trust building between Nate and the players. And that's a huge part to get those guys hopefully to go out to have that trust level where they'll run through a wall for you. With Kurt Joseph, I've seen that same thing in his short amount of time here as well, is, just his ability to connect with players. And that's such an important part of this level, to be able to do that, to get those guys to go out and play their best. But yeah, Nate's phenomenal. I'm really excited to have Nate on board, and it's great to be, back with him.
With Doc moving to that other role too, I mean, where can he still help you in different ways maybe than what he was doing before?
Yeah, I mean, Doc's still going to be a huge part of what we do and how we play. And, it's similar to, kind of last year with, not being able to travel, with what Doc did, and still had the impact that he did as far as, game planning and, putting together a defensive scheme for us to go out and be able to execute. So even though he won't be doing as much on the floor as he has in the past, he's still going to have a huge part in what we do and how we play.
The other news coming out of the council meetings this week is it looks like we're moving towards the end of the dead period starting in June, potentially getting some live periods back in July. What are your thoughts on getting back to more in-person recruiting and what that'll mean for you guys in basketball in general?
Well, I'm really going to miss the Zoom calls. I've gotten kind of used to them, the daily Zooms that we're doing right now with recruits. But I'm excited about it. I know our staff is excited about it as well. Hopefully being able to get official visits back, which would start almost immediately, and getting players here to see firsthand what we have and what they will experience if they do come to Nebraska. To be able to get out and see players and evaluate. It's going to be, I think, a welcome for everybody that's in this business. But, you just, again, you do the best you can with the hand that's dealt right now. It's a lot of recruiting through Zoom, and we feel we've made good progress. We've had, very successful recruiting class with going through the Zoom, and now to hopefully open it up and get some normalcy back with recruiting, with getting fans back in your building. I just think it's going to be great as we continue to move forward. So, obviously safety is the number one thing, but if it's determined that we can do this safely and without getting anybody sick with what's going on in our world with the pandemic, then, I think it's going to be welcomed by everyone.
How much of what you've had to do during this last year, how much do you think that will carry over and kind of create a new way of recruiting?
As far as the Zoom stuff and everything, and you just have to put so many things together virtually. You have to send out virtual tours of your campus, your locker room, your facilities. Even the strength and conditioning staff. Our sports scientist Chris Bach, he spent time on Zooms with us. Our academic advisor Dennis LeBlanc would spend times on the Zooms as well. So, it's just to be able to be face-to-face obviously is ideal, but again, you adapt and you adjust, and hopefully you go out and make some headway. And again, I think with the class that we put together, top 15 recruiting class, with everything that we've been through, I think speaks volumes for, everything that we have to offer here. So, it is what it is, and hopefully, again, we move past it, we get back to in-person, but these Zoom calls will be something that we will continue to do moving forward.
Kevin Washit?
Just wanted to clarify, are you guys actively pursuing another player for this class or two?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking at ways to improve our roster, Robin. And, if we can go out and find somebody that we feel would be a good addition to our roster, then we'll talk about it and see, if we want to add another player. We've got 2 scholarships at the current moment. But yeah, we're always evaluating on how we can improve the roster, not only for next year, but, in the long term as well. So yeah, we're talking as all programs do. You continue to talk, you continue to build relationships with these players and kind of see where it goes.
And with the fact that you have 2 technically scholarship players that don't count towards your 13, does that give you a little more wiggle room to maybe keep a spot or 2 in your back pocket for future classes or for potential mid-year transfer next year?
Yeah, absolutely. And that obviously it goes through our mind as well with how we're going to approach it. But, as of right now, with what we have with Kobe using his extra year and then Trevor not counting as well. So, technically we could have 15 on the roster, which is a lot. That's a lot of guys. So, we'll see how it plays out. And, again, if we keep one open and see where it goes, that is something that absolutely we are talking about.
Okay, we'll finish up with Sam McEwen.
Hey, Coach. Is Shamil Stevenson doing some of the same mulling over that Thor is? I mean, Shamil, I think, is the oldest player on the team. And sometimes in basketball, it's about age and not necessarily about the year that they're in collegiately.
Yeah, absolutely. We're again having conversations with Shamil about the different options that he has, and again, just try to be there to help make the right decision.
Thank you.
That will end the press conference, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. Talk to you all later.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.